Waqf showdown intensifies in the parliament. The NDA and opposition are locking horns. The BJP has shared a 2010 video of Lalu Yadav where he accused Waqf of grabbing land and how a strict law is needed to control it.
कानून बनाना चाहिए बहुत कड़ा। सारी ज़मीनें हड़प ली गई है, चाहे सरकारी हो या गैर, उसमें जो काम करने वाले लोग हैं सब बेच दिया है। प्राइम लैंड, ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई खेती वाली ज़मीन है। पटना के डाक बंगला पर जितनी प्रॉपर्टी थी ये सब पर अपार्टमेंट बन गया, सब लोगों ने लूट लाट किया है। आगे से खैर आप तो लाइए, इसको पास हम लोग कर देते हैं संशोधन आपका, लेकिन आगे से कड़ाई के साथ जो भी बंदियां बना रहे हैं।
And now we have my colleague Brijesh Pandey joining us live from the newsroom for more on that story that we're tracking. Brijesh, talk to us. Talk about, giving somebody a taste of their own medicine.
Absolutely, and I think the government, which has been since morning, ever since Kiran Rijiju, Minority Affairs Minister, tabled the Waqf Amendment Bill, the opposition parties have been going hammer and tongs against the government, saying that there is an ulterior motive behind moving in this Waqf Amendment Bill. And immediately, a couple of hours later, this old video of Lalu Yadav has started doing the rounds, in which he was, as viewers and you and I heard, where he's talking about how stringent laws should be put in place to make sure that Waqf doesn't resort to illegally usurping lands and building various flats and bungalows on that and selling it. So, and he kept on talking about how there should be a very stringent act which should make sure that this kind of misuse does not happen in future. So this is the BJP's way of getting even with the other opposition leaders, especially of Congress and RJD and others, where they're trying to point out that there have been a long-standing complaint against the way Waqf used to function. It was a completely closed-knit organization. There's no degree of accountability, and there was also no method and mechanism in which their claims can be validated, counter-checked, and it was something which was going on unchecked. The government says that time has come, as it happens with many institutions, for modernizing it, for reforming the provisions which are there. They have specifically said that since two of their allies had apprehension about certain amendments, they factored in certain issues which clearly stipulates that if there's a masjid or there's a graveyard which is built on Waqf, the government will go through the entire process before any kind of demolition takes place. It can only be done if houses have been constructed on that land, so strict action can be taken and immediately. And not only this, but after that, a lot of well-placed mechanism can be put in place so as to make sure that Waqf doesn't indulge in any of these acts of which it has been accused of. So I think this video is a tit for tat, if I can say, by the government to show opposition that this is what they felt when Lalu Yadav was the railway minister. And if you compare them with the kind of utterances right now opposition is making, there's a 180-degree sea change in their view as far as the functioning of Waqf is concerned. Krishna?
Brijesh, the opposition has really taken it upon itself to use Waqf as a platform to lash out against the government. And the BJP, meanwhile, and the government have been talking about the kind of false narratives being created around the Waqf bill, threatening the Muslim community. The BJP there's been an overdrive to let people know that this Waqf bill is not against the Muslim community. In fact, it's meant to do good to the common Muslim people.
Well, this is the second time the government has made this kind of an outreach. The first was Triple Talaq bill, and now this Waqf Amendment Bill. The government is trying to push home drive home the point. If you remember, a couple of days back on the occasion of Eid, Minority Affairs Minister as well as Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju, did a big press conference in which he kept on harping that there's a lot of misinformation which is being spread by the opposition parties, and the intention of the government is not there. He even equated this with CAA, and he went on to say that. Earlier, there was this lot of misapprehension attached to a CAA bill that all the Muslims will be deported and things like that will happen. But did that happen? That didn't happen. So, the government is trying to convince the Muslims as well as other opposition leaders that the intention or the apprehensions are completely wrong, and the intention of the government is not to to be biased against the Muslim community. But as it happens with every bill, there are certain sections which does require a closer look, because the bill, the letter could be absolutely all right, but it is always the spirit which matters, when it comes to execution of these kind of bills. And I think, once this gets passed, as the government clearly has numbers on its side, it has an absolute majority, and for Waqf it requires 272, a simple majority. But I think, once this law gets implemented on the ground, then your intent and spirit of the law will be something which will be put to test. And I think therein will lie the real challenge for the government, so as to make sure that the message doesn't get across that the government is being biased against the Muslim community. Krishna?
Right, Brijesh Pandey joining us for the latest on the Waqf bill debate. Thank you, Brijesh, for being with us.